Okay. Cynthia, Mike, hello. Rosemary, hello. How are you doing? Good to see you here with us.
Doing good.
Lisa, hello.
Hi, Quazza. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Always. I'm looking at our agenda and I want to verbalize there's some changes. One of our speakers for tonight's meeting, Weston High, has indicated she's not feeling very well. Hopefully it's something minor, but she will not be giving her speech tonight. Excuse me. So we will not be having that speech for our meeting. Currently, I am not seeing J.C. Loom. He was to be our grammarian and our counter. So we may be bereft of a grammarian our counter for tonight's meeting. However, we do have an evaluator for our first speaker, and our first speaker is here. We do have a timer. And to paraphrase that statement, the meeting goes on. So with that tone and that intention, I will just don my hat as Sergeant at Arms and call this meeting of the Vision Masters Toastmasters Club to order. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I will now don the hat of the club president and welcome our guests. As I welcome our guests, I would just like to say that I appreciate seeing the images and the names of the persons who come and visit our club. I'm aware that it's Thursday night, and for some of you, there's a time differential, and yet you take the time out of your day and evening to be with us for this club meeting. We appreciate your presence. We appreciate you joining us. So thank you very much. I'd just like to greet Lisa, DeMarie Shy King, Rosemary Sweeney, who's going to give us a great speech, Cynthia Stott, Mike Pruitt. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I will now don the hat of the Toastmaster for tonight's meeting. And in doing so, I will just introduce the theme of tonight's meeting. The theme of tonight's meeting is leadership lessons. I would just like to say that I appreciate that in this club, we stress not only being able to give a speech and say something impactful and meaningful, but also that we are giving speeches that impart lessons of leadership. Leadership is something that is taught, and the more that someone can get insights, tips about how to be that leader, how to be that person who can provide a model for leading others, then the more that people will be comfortable in exercising their own leadership. So tonight's theme is leadership lessons. I will call to the virtual lectern our general evaluator for tonight's meeting, who will talk about his role and introduce members of his team. That is Hank Cartwright.
Greetings, Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters and guests. the purpose of the general evaluator is to evaluate everything that takes place throughout the meeting. And during the meeting, I'll take notes on everything that happens and doesn't happen, and I'll evaluate each participant on the meeting on the meeting program and look for good examples of preparation, organization, delivery, enthusiasm, observation, and performance of duties. And at the end of the meeting, I'll give my report. And but of course, this is I don't do all this by myself. I have a team. So now I'd like to introduce some of the people who will be contributing to this evaluation effort, because of course evaluation is part of how we learn from our speeches and how we improve and get better over time. And so first I'd like to introduce the grammarian, J.C. Loom.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
And
I am the grammarian. All right, what does the grammarian do? Dr. Wade, can you help out?
Well, a word of the day has already been selected, and it appears in the agenda as mastery, M-A-S-T-E-R-Y.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. All right, fellow Toastmasters, I will be the grammarian tonight. Part of my duty is to pay attention to good usage of that thing they call English, and listen for really nice gems. That's going to be part of my job as a grammarian. Count how many R's, arms, all those nasty stuff. As a grammarian, I'll be paying attention to that. And it is my responsibility to give the word of the day. And that word is mastery. Mastery. Okay. And I have not looked at the word in the dictionary, and English is my second language. I have to actually say that from the beginning. And now I am here to talk about how good people speak using this language. So I have to be very, very attentive. When you call me, I'll come back and give you my report. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
No, thank you. And next, I'd like to introduce our timer, Mike Pruitt. And Mike, can you tell us about about your role tonight?
Greetings, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. As timer, I will time the table topic speakers, formal speech, and the evaluation. I will also alert each speaker of the time they have left using the green, yellow, and red virtual background. The speaker tonight will be giving an 18 to 20-minute speech. At minute 18, I will put up the green background, minute 19, the yellow, and minute 20, the red. For table topics, I will raise the green card at 1 minute, the yellow background at 1 minute 30 seconds, and the red background at 2 minutes. And for the evaluation, at the 2 minute mark, I will raise the green background, 2 minutes 30 seconds, the yellow, and 3 minutes, the red. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
No, thank you. Later on in the meeting, I'll be introducing our speech evaluator. But now I'll send it back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. As I was mentioning a few minutes ago, one of the facets of Toastmasters International is leadership and giving information so that our members can not only develop their speaking skills and be able to give information in a coherent manner, but also to develop leadership skills so that whether they are in a complex organization or an entrepreneur setting up their own business, they are able to have the skills needed to provide leadership for those around them. Tonight, we are definitely very gifted with having a speech by Rosemary V. Sweeney. Rosemary V. Sweeney is a distinguished Toastmaster, DTM, and she is the president of Leaders Worldwide Toastmasters Club. That sounds auspicious. She has served in several leadership positions, including division director in her home country on the beautiful island of Dominica. Today, she shares her keynote presentation, The Twist, Hands Turn of Leadership, Embracing Their Journey. She will be evaluated by Cynthia Stott, also a distinguished Toastmaster and division director. Rosemary's speech comes from the Pathways Motivational Strategies, Level 5, Prepare to Speak Professionally. Rosemary Sweeney, Prepare to Speak Professionally. Prepare to Speak Professionally. Rosemary Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the meeting. Have you ever held a leadership position in any organization? Or have you found yourself at your wit's end trying to attain mastery of that leadership position? Have you ever been requested to compromise your integrity as a leader? There's a quote which says, if your actions inspire others to do more, be more, or dream more, you are a leader. However, you must be cognizant of the fact that there are many twists and turns in leadership. It is not all smooth sailing. Yet, you should embrace those twists and turns and not shy away, but remain resilient and resolute, ensuring that you achieve your goals and continue to inspire others. In my presentation this evening, you will hear 3 of the twists and turns and why you should embrace that leadership journey. Firstly, the unpredictable path of leadership. Secondly, learning from failures. And finally, leading with integrity. In spite of these twists and turns, you should embrace the leadership journey because others are counting on you. As a Toastmaster, are you aware that you could begin that journey within the next 2 months? And whether you are on that journey already or will be a new person on that journey, don't shy away from it. Firstly, let's consider the unpredictable path of that leadership journey. Leadership, like life itself, is full of twists and turns. Sometimes you believe that you have something in order. Everything is going fine. And then, poof, out of nowhere. I say it is like poof, like a plume of smoke from an active volcano. And here in Dominica, our island lies on 9 of those active volcanoes. So you can believe when you can understand when we start shaking, when we think everything is okay, we are going about our business. And hey, we always wonder, is the volcano going to explode, erupt? This is like your leadership journey. You think you have it all out, and then this happens. However, it is during those moments of uncertainty and unpredictability that your leadership shines. And it shines like a bonfire on the dark beach in the dead of night. Because you're not going to give up. You're going to ensure that you focus on achieving those goals. Some years ago, I was elected as our committee's chairperson, and everything was going smooth sailing. We began rearing up for everything, community events, family events, inviting people. And people were there with us, working together with us to ensure that our community was one of the best community. But then a twist came. Do you think before that twist, everything was smooth sailing, and after everything was smooth sailing? You can put your answer in the chat. I will call on Toastmaster Lom to tell me whether he thought everything was smooth sailing. Answer me yes or no. Toastmaster Lom?
Let's say yes.
Okay. Toastmaster DeMarie?
I would say no.
Okay. Toastmaster Lisa? Do you think that everything was smooth sailing? Toastmaster Lisa is not there, so I will call on Toastmaster Hank.
Well, things rarely are perfectly smooth and really smooth sailing. There's always some kind of hang-ups or bumps.
Toastmaster Lisa, I see you're there. Do you think that everything was smooth sailing?
I don't think that everything is always or ever smooth sailing. I think that there's always obstacles and challenges along the way.
Yes, there came a bump in the road when 2 of our most vibrant young people resigned. These were 2 people who were on social media and had us up there in everything. They did not resign because of any conflict within our group, but they resigned because they were accepted at universities and had to move on. We could not ask them to complete the year. And then we got 2 other people who did not know anything about social media. But we embraced them, we worked with them, we had them work with us. So now instead of social media, we went out to meet our people occasionally instead of just putting something on Facebook or Instagram, because that was what they used. We would go out to them. And at the end of the year, our group met its goals. So it's true, it's unpredictable, but you should embrace it because we learned other things. We learned to be more readily available to people, to listen to them. Yeah, social media was great, but we were not meeting people one-on-one except on occasions when we had our family fun day or something happening. And this allowed us to meet our people and achieve our goals. Next, you can consider a twist and turn, learning from failures. Failure is inevitable. Failures can occur anytime. It is also unpredictable. But this should not mean that we give up. As great leaders, we embrace failures. I love the story of Thomas Edison and the light bulb. I always say if he had given up on a first or second attempt, we would not have the luxury of the light bulb today. But he continued, and it is said that he tried over 1,000 times. And once when he was asked, but why do you keep on failing? You have failed over 1,000 times. And he said, I have not failed over 1,000 times. I have tried over 1,000 times and learned how not to do it that way again. And today we can speak about the light bulb. In my club, at my work, my last place I worked, there was this Toastmasters group. And we were going all smooth sailing until 2015, when my country was hit by a storm. A storm was coming, and we never expected that. We just expected it to blow away. But guess what? It lashed our island devastatingly. Houses were destroyed, roads were destroyed, infrastructure was destroyed. And we had to start all over again. And we started, we were going okay. But before we could get back up on our feet, in 2017, there came this devastating hurricane, which wiped us off. We were nearly wiped out from the face of the map. CNN anchor Anderson Cooper said that when his plane passed over the island, he thought that everyone was dead because he was seeing total devastation. Our houses were destroyed. 95% of our homes were destroyed. And we were told that our gross domestic product was set back by over 200%. But our club, after a while, we came together and we started meeting on Zoom. That was before COVID. So wherever on the island we had electricity and internet, our club would meet if these people were there. So that meant nearly 3/4 of our people did not used to meet. And in 2019, when we thought things would be smooth sailing, here came COVID. So we could not go to work, people could not go to work. It was just pure chaos. And what we learned is that we should be resilient, keep our mind focused on where we are going, and in the end, we will be successful. These were all matter of us learning to do things differently. And finally, leading with integrity. In a world where uncertainty and ambiguity is filled, integrity is our compass. That's what we have to use to stay true to our values, even when faced with difficult decisions or temptations. Leaders who lead with integrity inspire trust, loyalty, and respect, laying the foundation for lasting success. Imagine you do not have integrity. No one will trust you. No one in your group will respect you. Because today you're saying do X, tomorrow you're saying X is incorrect, the next day you're saying Y can be done. No one will know where we are going, what should we follow, and this breaks down an organization. And do you know that integrity is one of the values of Toastmasters International? And in everything we do, we should do with integrity. The other values of the organization helps us to maintain integrity. Recently, my integrity was put to a test. I signed up for a class and the teacher found it would be a good idea to set us out to work in groups. And then we were supposed to evaluate our group members and give them a score. 2 of our group members never attempted any of the exercises, never came to meetings, and never communicated to us the reason. Me being a person who do not like to mark down people like with zeros and those things, I was tempted to give them at least a 1. But I was wondering, why would I give them a 1? Because these people have never participated in our exercises or what we were doing. We would call meetings and they would not show up. And because I hate to mark down people, I decided I will mark them down, but I will let them know the reason I will give them a 0. And so I called them and told them that I am conflicted. I do not like to mark down people to 0, but based on their actions, there is no other score I can give them. And then I invited them to be a Toastmaster, to come to my Toastmasters meeting, because I told them communication is very important. You cannot make it to our meetings, communicate to us. Probably the timing was wrong. Probably the hour of the day was not conducive to them. But by keeping yourself back, not informing us of what is going on, this has tied our hands, and the only score you can get is 0. I told them, I am aware that you may know your work, but it was not on the knowledge of what you know we were going to grade you. We were going to grade you on your participation as a team member, and that is very important. Sometimes we are at work and we are supposed to work in team, and you find one group of people doing everything. But when the manager asks a question, we are afraid to say what the person did or did not do. And this shows a lack of integrity. Our word should be our bond. You did not work for that mark, then I should not give you the mark. I should not allow the manager to think that you know what you're doing. And at the end of the day, the organization is disrupted because you're going to ask that person to do something and they do not have a clue. So I told them that, and hopefully I highlighted what they did and they accepted. So hopefully going forward, they can use that as a stepping stone to show that whenever something is not going to their benefit, they can speak out, because some people are afraid to speak. I can remember before being a Toastmaster, I could speak among my friends, but with something like that, I cannot make it. I would not say anything. I would just hold myself back. And going forward, I do not want to come across anybody who was like me, and I can give them the option to change into a more communicative individual. I then give them their 0, and we have no hard feeling, although 0 was a tight score. Now, it's true, there are the twists and turns. There are many twists and turns. I just spoke about 3, but we should embrace those twists and turns. Embracing those twists and turns on the journey helps us, not only helps us to be more resourceful individuals, but more responsible individuals, because we know and we are already aware that things do not always work out as we expect it to. There's just those twists, there's just those turns. Even in your body, you speak and you bite your tongue. Are you going to stop? Or somebody says the incorrect thing to you. You cannot let that derail your focus, because as I said earlier, others are counting on you. So as we navigate the leadership journey, you will encounter lots of twists and turns. Let us remember, it's the challenges that shape us into the type of leaders we are, into the type of leaders we become. After all, we have heard the saying, hard times create strong men. There's this saying, hard times we create strong men, and strong men we can create weak men. Because sometimes when you're strong, you want to do everything for the other person. And when you're not there, that person can do nothing. But when challenges occur, you know tomorrow, hey, this happened and I conquered. And so I'm going to embrace the highs and the lows. I'm going to embrace victories and defeat finding meaning in every experience along the way. We should not just find meaning when things are going good. We should also find meaning when things are not going good. We can remember, or we have heard the story of Oprah. When she started working at that radio station, she was fired because she was not fit, she was told. But did she let that keep her back? No. If she had done that, she would be nowhere this big, mega woman she is today. So as I close, I call on you to embrace the leadership journey with open hearts and open minds, and welcome the twists and turns of the unpredictable path of learning from failures and of the challenges you will encounter to your integrity as opportunities for growth, learning, and transformation. So you're going to embrace them. And let us continue to lead with courage and compassion. Let us continue to look out for our fellow members. And knowing that our journey as leaders is never ending, but always rewarding. More so when we look out for our team and when we look at our team and see how far they have grown, how much they are willing to do more, be more, and give more. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the meeting.
Thank you for that very insightful, informational, and inspirational speech. I'm going to ask the timer to give us 90 seconds on the clock and invite our participants to send questions or comments to our speaker via the chat. While that's happening, I would just like to say your speech was very informational. You mentioned a couple of aspects of leadership in your speech that sometimes get overlooked. Challenges, many of us through experiences sometimes don't want to face or shy away from. And yet it is in the challenges that even if we are not initially successful, we can learn something. There's something to grow from. So I appreciate you sharing that in your speech.
Time.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. And now we have that part of the meeting. We're going to expedite this a little bit since our second speaker is not present. We will expedite our meeting and go straight to that fun part, the opportunity for everyone to participate. Yes, I am talking about table topics. This I think of as a fun part of the meeting in that there are topics, opportunity for everyone to speak off the cuff. You have an opportunity to say something in the moment, but it's also a wonderful opportunity to practice saying what you want to say. For those of us who may get tongue-tied in speaking before a group or even in socially, when we're with folks and someone turns to us and says, "What do you think about?" This is a fun opportunity to practice how we prepare to say what we want to say. And with that lead up, I'm going to introduce our table topic master for this evening, Dr. Wade Cartwright.
Thank you very much, Quasar. And let's move on with our table topics. So I think I 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I see some people here who have not had roles in the meeting so far. So let me just try to spread things around a bit. Our first item that I'm going to ask a speaker for is to complete the sentence with a 1 to 2 minute talk. And the sentence is, happiness is. And let me call on Marie Sky King to speak on happiness is.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, have you ever really considered what happiness is? For me, happiness is the absence of sadness. Happiness is the absence of grief and pain. Happiness is that feeling that you have when you look up at a blue sky and all you see is brightness. Happiness is the absence of clouds or rain. Happiness is a space and time where your heart and your mind are in sync and you are very pleased with yourself and your surroundings. I want you to think back to a time when you could hear the birds chirping, when you could see the daffodils in bloom, when you could smell the sweet fragrance of roses from down the hillside. Was that a moment of happiness for you? It is and was for me because I am a creature who loves the spring. That is my season to engage in wanderlust, to go down and take walks by the lake, to just sit and let the breeze blow against my hair. As I watch the creatures scurrying to and fro, God has created this atmosphere for us, and it's up to us to reach out and touch it and turn that into the happiness that we all want. And it will help us to relax, reduce stress, and be a better person. Reach out and touch your happiness. Start today. I'm Dee and I rest my mic.
Thank you very much for your comments on happiness, and may you realize all of them, especially this year. So my second topic that I would like to invite someone to speak to is there has emerged an American to the forefront who has contributed much in her early years and has the opportunity to contribute a lot more. So let me invite someone to speak about Caitlin Clark. Now I'm going to ask for volunteers for this. So who would like to speak about Caitlin Clark? No one wants to speak about Caitlin Clark. And let me say that she was a point guard for the University of Iowa's basketball team, who came in second place in the competition this year. And she is probably the best female basketball player that has come into the forefront in many a year. And doing what she has done, she has become so popular that she has made the women's final tournament more popular than the men's for the first time. She has signed the contract to become professional, and the team that she has signed with was the Indiana something has already had a sellout for their coming season. The teams that are engaged to compete with her team have already experienced increased sales. So I guess Quasi, you want to speak to that?
Well, I was waiting for someone else to raise their hand, but I'll raise mine. So Caitlin Clark is a name that has been in newspapers, not just the sporting page, these preceding weeks and months. What I would like to talk about is not just Caitlin Clark, the individual. She is an athlete with very superior skills. She plays basketball. She is tall. For those who are aficionados or into sports, she has an interesting but very great set shot that is very successful and allows her to score a lot of points. But what I would like to talk about is Caitlin Clark, not just the woman basketball player, but Caitlin Clark as the woman who is helping to put a tension onto sports as a whole. Heretofore, when we talk about sports, the idea has been that it's primarily or almost exclusively men, unless it's the Olympics. And yet, here is a woman, a person who is bringing attention to an entire field, the WNBA, and also women in sports outside of the professional area, women in sports in colleges, in clubs, so that we are having an opportunity to see young girls, young women who can participate in a sports environment that's not exclusively focused on men, that allows them to develop their own athletic prowess and skills as we have historically encouraged young boys and men to do. I think that beyond scoring points, Caitlin Clark is in a position to add to the growth of women in sports, and not just as players, but as participants and directors. Mr. Tabletop Master, back to you.
Thank you very much. As Toastmaster, let me ask you about how much more time do we have for more speakers?
Oh, geez, let's see. How about another 4 or 5 minutes? I think you got like maybe 2 persons, maybe 3, but definitely 2 people.
2 speakers, okay. I have my favorite quotation is a metaphor that appears in the second act of Romeo and Juliet, a Shakespeare play. And it goes like this. It's a poor cook who does not lick his fingers. Who would like to take on that? going once, going twice, going 3 times. I don't have any takers. So let me see if I can do better. The next topic is artificial intelligence. Who would like to speak on artificial intelligence for 1 to 2 minutes? And
Let me try. I hope I can.
okay, thank you, Rosemary.
With the fast-paced world we are going today, some of us think that we are still moving too slow. And we are constantly hearing of introductions of certain information, certain gadgets, which will help us to move faster. And artificial intelligence is one such gadget we are hearing about now. Imagine you can speak to your computer and all your words are written. You no longer have to take a pen to write what you're going to say. You can get the information, it is said, at the speed of light. I have seen on the internet advertisements asking us to just sign up on this gadget and we can have a book in 10 seconds. Can you believe that? Something we would take to write. Think. It's like our brain now is going to be on hold, where we cannot even think of what we want to do. Because before we think, there is the gadget to give us what we are asking for. Is it good or is it bad? It is left to be seen, because we have heard of artificial intelligence in medicine, where a doctor could be in one area and take care of a patient at another area. So this is a good thing. But when we think of our children, our babies, and the development of their brain, we have to be conscious that we might just be shooting ourselves in our foot. Back to you, Mr. Table topic.
Thank you very much, Rosemary, for that. I really enjoyed that. And this will be our last one. Let me see who has not had a role that.
Is Lisa available, our guest?
Lisa, are you with us?
I'm here.
Okay, Lisa. Let me give you this charge. Let's say that you are in a conversation and the conversation is becoming very boring. Give us some tips on how to escape gracefully from this conversation. Take it away, Lisa.
Thank you so much for that question, Dr. Wade. If I were in a boring conversation, I think that my strategy would be to add excitement by the use of provocative questions. So in listening to my conversational partner, I would pick things that they were discussing that seemed rather boring, but ask them a question that would encourage them to think more about what they're saying and to share more exciting nuances. Has that ever happened to you where you were in a boring conversation when they said the weather was so-so and you wanted to make it a little bit more exciting? Could you have asked them to think of a time that the weather was such that it really scared them, and have them think of the hail and the tornado and the lightning that entered the space that they were in, and perhaps have them think of a time, not just when they were inside the house, but maybe when they were camping, so that it became even more exciting. And by letting them continue to speak as the conversational partner and not monopolize the conversation, but just encourage them to shine and to make the conversation as mind-opening and dazzling as possible, they would master the craft of exciting conversation and leave that boring humdrum behind, and you would be their favorite conversational partner. How about trying that next time? I rest my mic.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for that. I would say that said well as a Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dr. Wade. I appreciate the question.
So thank you for the participants. And back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, and thank you for our participants in Table Topics. And by the way, thank you, Lisa, for that suggestion of rather than feeling coward or overwhelmed by a boring conversation, seizing the challenge and directing it to something a little more interesting. At this point in our meeting, we will now have evaluations of the various parts of our meeting. To that end, I will call to the virtual lectern our general evaluator, who will call members of his team. Hank Cartwright.
Hello, and then at this time, I'd like to introduce our well, I'll be in a moment. I'll be introducing our evaluator for Rosemary Sweeney's speech, but first. Oh, no, actually, I think I'll do that now. I'll introduce our first evaluator, who is Cynthia Stott.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, Hank Cartwright. Great job you're doing. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and especially Rosemary Sweeney. Wow, that was an amazing speech. I loved your opening, how you asked us all questions. You even asked us to enter our responses in the chat. I thought that was very engaging. You engage us further with a leadership quote as well. You used your hand gestures. You had very good hand gestures. And then you said, poof. And you talked about the volcano under your island. And you talked about the terrible, disastrous weather that you had. It was very engaging. And your vocal variety and your stage presence was really powerful. You spoke so powerfully as a leader. You were really commanding with your language and your vocal variety, especially as a leader. If I were to give you any stretch goals, because this was fantastic, because it was absolutely fantastic. I almost talked about a challenge, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. I think for a stretch goal is maybe giving us more of your body. I'm also sitting down. If you could stand up and speak, and then your gestures can be larger, because sometimes they did go out of the screen or below the screen. That would be great. And then you could use your body position more and your Zoom box more. You could talk about, the beginning, the middle, the end, your 3 points, and give them a presence on the stage, almost like a hologram. Craig Valentine's talks about holograms placed on the stage, this point and that point and the third point, so we could remember it better, is a great idea. And then for your challenge, I think, well, what almost popped out of my mouth was TED Talks. It's a really good leadership speech that it's kind of a call to action, very inspiring. You're really driving us to talk about leadership and to look at the difficulties that you will have as a leader, and not to expect just all the bed of roses. That's what I really loved about it. You were very honest with speaking and with leadership, and you encouraged us to embrace our mistakes, to move forward with them. And I think you could get it at TED Talks, or even another organization, or especially another Toastmasters club. It was a great presentation. You had great stage presence, vocal variety, and body gestures. Just use your Zoom box a little bit more and speak on the TED stage or somewhere else. Really take this speech and hone it and speak somewhere else. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. And next, I'd like to introduce it's time for our timer report. So I'd like to introduce Mike Pruitt for our timer report.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. For Rosemary Sweeney's speech, it was 19 minutes and 6 seconds. For DeMarie Shai King, table topics, 1 minute, 50 seconds. For Kuwaza's table topics about Caitlin Clark, 2 minutes and 19 seconds. That was very interesting. And I was so sad that nobody talked about Wade's quote from Romeo and Juliet. It's a poor cook who doesn't lick his fingers. That reminds me of a story I heard. What happened when the cannibal came home late for dinner? He got the cold shoulder. Rosemary Sweeney, 1 minute, 55 seconds. Lisa Thompson, 2 minutes, 14 seconds. And for evaluation, Cynthia, 3 minutes, 48 seconds. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Okay, thank you. And now next, I would like to introduce our grammarian, JC, for our grammarian report.
Oh, I'm extremely sorry, Mr. General Evaluator. I was just writing some few stuff down before I come forward. I wrote some notes as the general, as the grammarian, because my job was to follow from the beginning to the end how people talk, what they say, how they say, all that good stuff. I'm also supposed to say, if they mention any arms as all those filler things, I'm supposed to say it. But let me be honest. Let me be honest with you, fellow Toastmasters. You guys were doing so well today. I was so captivated that I forgot about these filler things. And what I really think is that there were almost 0 of them that Mike, can you hear me? Okay. So what I'm saying is that the speaking was so good that I didn't hear any filler words. I was more captivated than hearing filler words. Now, I have few things that I wrote. Just I'll say it very quickly, Mr. General Evaluator. The first thing I wrote was, where is this? Let's start with page 1. I'm glad nobody's timing me right now. So Rosemary was the first person I started writing about. Rosemary, she said, do more, dream more, give more. I just heck of like that. I think if we all do that, we could move an inch. Words like resilient, resolve, it was very nice how you put them together. What else did I write here? I wrote smooth sailing. When you asked the question whether everything is smooth sailing, I think I said yes, but I really didn't quite understand what you were saying. And after listening to the speech, it occurred to me that you shared a lot about what was happening in your part of the town, in your area with volcanoes and all that stuff. By the way, I love your accent. I have an accent, you have an accent. I just love it. So my answer to that question, no, there's no easy right. No, zero, zip, zilch. No easy rights. All right, who else did I write about? DeMarie, I said in sync with your surrounding and yourself. Oh, DeMarie, that was so cool. You said in sync with your surrounding and yourself. I would love to just experience that, to be, how do you call it? To be intentional about it, to really experience it. That was good. I wrote about Cassandra here. If I were, Cassandra, I had to write this. It was the question that you asked. If I were in a boring conversation. Now, Cassandra, you were extremely nice with that person. You took your time and tried to, inspire him and all that. If it were me, Cassandra, I would have just said, this is what, let me just read what I wrote. I said, I will say to the guy who is going on with the boring speech, I'll say, I just came up with a story. Okay, so I said, I'll pretend my wife just called me, and I said, hey, excuse me, my wife just told me that my great-great-great-grandmother just died. I have to leave right now. That's what I would have said to that boring speaking person. And last but not least, I wrote about Cynthia Scott. What did I say? Oh, you said, I noticed that too when she was speaking, and I wrote it down. So when you said it again, I just said, I gotta talk about this because you and I were just listening to that. Good. Excellent evaluation. Everything was good. The grammar was good, Mr. General Evaluator. Everything went smoothly, very well. Back to you right now.
Oh, great. Thank you, JC. And now it's time for my general evaluator report. And I'd say I think today was a very good meeting. Overall, we had all of our roles were filled, and I like the way that we started by welcoming our guests. I think that always helps to make them help them to feel more included and to just to create a positive welcoming atmosphere in the meeting. And then I felt that of course all the individuals in each role were introduced correctly, and that went well, and the overall flow of the meeting went smoothly. The roles were, again, even though we had an issue with one of our speakers, one of our scheduled speakers not speaking, we managed to adjust our agenda, and we just continued to flow as normal, and I think that went well. And then once we got to, I think our speech today from Rosemary was excellent. I think she gave a very good speech, and that helped I thought it was engaging, and it helped to bring, it helped it was engaging to the listeners. And then our table topics questions from Wade were very good. They were thought provoking, and he had some interesting questions. Again, some topics that are current, like Caitlin Clark, and also and then toward the end, the humor from Mike Pruitt was nice. The cold shoulder joke, I think, went over well, and so I think overall things went very well today. And overall, I don't have any major notes, and no major criticisms. I feel like today was a good meeting, even though it didn't go exactly according to the original plan. I think it was a smooth meeting that went, and that overall went well. Now back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, for that report. I would like to just address our visitors for tonight's meeting. Thank you for participating. Thank you for attending. I'd also just like to add that those who attend our meeting and participate, whether as an evaluator and or as a speaker, definitely add to the club's, not just the message, but the content of what we do here in Vision Masters. Rosemary, your speech tonight on leadership was wonderful. I'm sure I, myself, and others definitely took a note or two about what it takes to be a leader. It's not easy. And you provided some insight in terms of, one, just letting those who are considering being in leadership, it's not a smooth path. And yes, sometimes there's twists and turns, and there's challenges. And when you talked about integrity, it reminded me that sometimes when we are involved in something, it calls forth some of those qualities we didn't think we would be asked to bring forth. And leadership is one of those. So I thank you for your speech, which mentioned integrity, as well as facing the challenges. So for our guest tonight, who stuck with us through this meeting, would anybody like to share a comment before we end the meeting? And DeMarie, Lisa, Cassandra.
Great meeting. Loved Rosemary's speech. Very engaging table topics questions. Very glad to see Hank step up and be the GE for the meeting. And Dr. Wade, oh my goodness. So I enjoyed the meeting. Thank you so very much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to share?
And how about JC? He's probably going to be joining us as a member again. How did you like the meeting tonight?
Oh, I thought he gave that when he gave his grammarian report. Oh, LJC, you got more to say. Okay, go ahead.
No, Cynthia is just, Cynthia. Well, the meeting, joining the club, I love it. I have always loved this meeting. And my long absence, when I came back, I felt like I was behind, to tell you the truth. I was listening to people and I'm like, OMG, this is how behind you are. So I'm glad that I'm in the club, and then it will help me catch up to be as good as Hank. I told Hank that when I first got here, I was sneaking and listening without showing myself, and I heard him then. But now, Hank is the bomb, like the young folks say. That's my my little talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we close the meeting, two things. We had an officers meeting prior to tonight's meeting, and we will be presenting a list of candidates for officers in the coming year. And I just want to thank those persons who stepped up and volunteered to become officers for this dynamic club in our next year of growth. And taking a tip from Mike Pruitt, our club coach, I want to end with just a little bit of levity here.
Before you go to levity, can I make my comments as a guest?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't ready, but now I am. So JC, my name is Lisa, and I gave the table topic that you applied to Cassandra. So I just wanted to introduce myself. And I am really good at changing boring topics and boring conversations to exciting ones. I was a speech pathologist for 40 years and have my master's in communication. So that's probably how I learned to do that. And I was also married to someone who was not as exciting as I was hoping. So he's very good at telling great stories if I have better questions to ask him. And I would attribute a lot of what I'm able to do to living with someone who, when asked the right questions, can tell fascinating stories. And he often is answering a table topic while we're listening to table topics together in the car. And I'm like, wait, I do want to hear what you've got to say, but I would really like to hear it after the person that's answering the question already finishes. So, yeah, we just took a fabulous road trip where many of his stories had improved. And I think they've improved tremendously because of his involvement in 2 clubs in Toastmasters. So I think that's helping us to communicate better. As far as the rest of the meeting, I think that you all rose to the occasion of having only one speaker. And it's often a really good idea, especially with a longer speech, like the fabulous one that Rosemary gave, that we just have table topics. I think with a long speech like that, it's great to then go on to not having more speeches and giving everyone ample time to speak. So I always love coming to this club, Kawaza, and if I weren't already part of 3 of them, I think I would join. So I'm happy to be a guest and happy to come, and keep inviting me, and I'll keep being here. So thank you for having me, and back to your levity. I'm looking forward to a major joke.
Well, I don't know about a major joke.
Mr. Toastmaster.
Yes, sir.
Now, that's Cassandra, or I'm getting confused because
No, the person who just spoke was Lisa.
Lisa, yeah, but it says, okay. Now, Lisa, may I take this opportunity to just apologize because I was referring to you.
Of course.
I just love it And now that you have even exposed a little bit more, I think that person you're living with has emotional intelligence. So be very careful. Thank you for being here. And
Thank you. Thank you.
JC, I think that last comment might lead itself to showing up somewhere in one of our table topics in the not too distant future when you talk about emotional intelligence, but that's another topic. Okay. Oh, yeah, the little bit of levity. Okay. So, why did the girl pig break up with her boyfriend pig? He was a boar.
That's great, Kawaza. What a perfect ending. Thank you. That was great.
But did he bring home the bacon?
Okay, I was afraid we were going to have a little bovine. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight's meeting. We learned a lot, and I had noticed that we did have for a moment guests drop in. Sorry that they did not allow us to recognize them, but thanks everyone once again. Great meeting. Have a good night and a good weekend.
Great
night,
meeting,
good
Kawaza.
night.
Thank you. Good seeing everyone.
Excellent meeting. Your speech was amazing, Rosemary.
Thank
Loved it.
you.
Loved it.
Yeah, thanks.
Rosemary, I called you today. You're welcome to call me back, but not tonight. I'm ready for bed.
So she.
Not tonight. It is already 11 o'clock here.
Yes.
So
Yeah, it's late. It's late here too.
it's
But
late.
I'll be around tomorrow. We can
Okay.
talk.
On the same time
Okay.
zone.
Okay, great speech. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.